All right. Well, welcome to this YouTube Live. I'm terrible with technology currently, or rather, technology is terrible with me. And last week I was supposed to do a YouTube Live and I couldn't connect properly. So I ended up on Instagram recording a video. And today my computer crashed right when I hit go live. So got it back up and running. And hopefully it survives for the rest of this conversation. So my name is Jackson Hardin. I'm a coach and mentor. I do a lot of personal development work with people, run men's groups, and teach around relationships, teach around personal growth and development, teach around discipline, embodiment. And I've decided to start this YouTube channel to just provide resources to people who are interested in growing themselves, understanding themselves and life a little bit more, and to also just create a library of content for individuals that I work with to find information that will help them continue to deepen and grow. Today, we are exploring the notion of goal setting and creating long-term goals and plans. I reached out on Instagram. You can follow me there. It's Jackson at Jackson Hardin one. I reached out asking, what are some questions that you have just around life, relationships, whatever that I could answer for you. And this is where I'm getting these ideas and the content for these live calls. So if there are subjects around, personal growth that you have questions about, you can, comment here or you can email me at jacksonhardin.com and maybe I'll create a video around them. So today's video again is around how to set goals and create a 10-year plan. And this came from an individual saying, hey, how do you set goals and how do you create a 10-year plan? And this is actually kind of a cornerstone of a lot of the work that I do with people, um, is helping them get clear on what it is they want to create in the world, what kind of life they want to live, what's important to them. And once they get clear on that, how do you actually start um, bringing that to life, right? So we can set goals, or we can set New Year's resolutions. That's a common one. We get clear on what it is, but then we have no structures. We have no way of showing up to that consistently, and that thing doesn't happen. So today we're going to be exploring how do we set these goals. Well, first we're going to be exploring why set them, why we don't set them, how we can create these goals and these plans for ourselves, and then how to avoid some common pitfalls when it comes to goal setting and long-term plans. So let's dive into why. Why would we set goals and create these kinds of plans? The very first thing that comes to mind is it allows us to be more conscious with our time and our energy. If we have no idea of where it is we want to head or what it is we want to create or experience in life, then the time and energy that we spend, in our job, the time and energy we spend with our friends, what books we read, what shows we watch, all of these things um, can really just take us in several different directions instead of being centered in on this one area or direction that we're going. With that said, we don't want to get super locked into one way of being or one thing that we're going to do with our life. I'll talk more about that later. But it really just, once we have a destination, we can start to set our lives up to reach that destination. So the things that we're doing all feed where it is we want to go versus not being aware of where that destination is and just kind of waking up and going through the motions. And this is just a common experience that a lot of people have. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what they want to create. They've never thought about it. I can actually create things. I can actually set goals. They've never thought about these things. And because of that, they just kind of wake up and move through life without real purpose or direction. And a lot of times a lack of fulfillment comes from that. So one of the reasons we set goals is to be more conscious of our time and energy. Another is it can really bring some self-awareness around what's actually important to us. Um, I was spending time with a youngster the other day, about 10 years old, and we were just talking a little bit about week reviews and goal setting. He's like, well, what's my purpose? I was like, I don't know what your purpose is. You might not know either. But the reason I bring it up is it might take some time to even come to the awareness that, oh, I could actually be spending my time and energy in a conscious way in creating what I want to create. And in order to do that, it takes a little bit of self-awareness around what it is that's important to us. But again, it can be really helpful just to sit down and go, well, what is important to me? What do I like doing? What would I want to create? What kind of books interest me? What gets me excited about life? What kind of music do I like to listen to? What kinds of things do I like to do with my time? And literally creating these lists, because life just happens from the time we're young to the time we're, in high school and beyond. And as life happens, these momentums carry us in different directions. We might explore new things, find out new things about ourselves. But it can be really helpful to actually sit down and gain some self-awareness about what moves you, and literally just create lists. I've done this before on just my phone or on the notes app of like, what excites me? What do I like to do with my time? And then you find yourself in a moment of boredom, you can open up your app and look through some of the things that you enjoy doing, and again point yourself in a direction that's going to, over the long term, take you somewhere you want to be. Another reason that we set goals is to just have benchmarks and things to aim for. So we can have a long-term goal, but on the way to that, there's benchmarks. For instance, if you want to get a college degree, um, graduating high school would be a benchmark. Getting into college would be a benchmark. Getting an AA would be a benchmark. Um, there's these little benchmarks that we can work towards, and then once we get to them, we can celebrate a little bit and then get prepared for the next thing. So it just kind of makes life like there's things we're moving towards, as opposed to it just being this long drawn out, where am I going, what am I doing process. And now the most important reason that we set goals, um, is who you become in the process. The goal itself isn't as important as who we become in the process. When we set a goal, generally it's something it's going to stretch us a little bit. And we're going to learn new things. We're going to meet new people. We're going to experience new things. We're going to go new places. And it's this transformation that takes place in pursuit of something. That's the real benefit to doing it. It's who you grow into. It's who you become. It's you um, who you now operate in the world as. It expands us. So don't get so caught up on the goal. Don't get lost in the idea that the goal is all there is. It's really, who are you becoming in the process. That's why we set them. That's the real reason I like to set them, or bring awareness to why we set them, is it's who you become. So we have all these great reasons for setting goals. So why don't we do it? Um, so what I have here, and one of the things that happened for me growing up, is I never learned how. No one ever taught me how to set goals. Or if they did teach me, it was in a way that I didn't really care to hear about. The school counselor telling me like, well, what college do you want to go to? What kind of, what do you want to do? I'm like, I'm 17. I have no idea what I want to do, let alone college. I don't even like school. And now you're telling me like, I'm going to create this future where I'm stepping into more stuff I don't like. So I think there were some opportunities where they were trying to help me set some goals, but they were doing it in this boxed framework of, yeah, if you want to do things with your life and create direction, you should, go to college. And it's just not something that's ever jived with me. So we don't set goals because we haven't learned how, or someone taught us how to in a boring way. Another common one is we're too busy. Like, I've got too much going on. Like, sit down and plan out my life. I don't have time for that. I need to, get to work. I need to get home. I have an appointment here. I have an appointment there. That's great. I understand being busy, but if you haven't taken time to get really clear on what it is you want to create and where it is you want to go, all that stuff you're doing might be leading you further away from the life that you want to live. So it's a really important way to spend your time, is getting clear on the things that you want to do and creating some sort of plan to get you there. And then the time and energy you spend working and doing X, Y, and Z is at least you're clear it's taking you the direction that you want to go. So the too busy thing, that's a reason we don't do it, but hopefully you understand that's not really a great reason, because we just waste time doing shit that doesn't line up with who we are or what it is we want to do with our life. Another reason people don't set goals is because I just want to live today, and if I set goals, that's going to box me into a way that I need to live or I need to be. I'm kind of just skating through life and having fun and just doing what the moment brings. And I totally get that. I think it's really important to be connected to the present moment and just enjoy life as it is. And it can be really helpful to have something we're moving towards at the same time. So I would Yes, I completely agree. Live life, be present for today, be open to spontaneity and possibility, and at the same time, have a little bit of an idea of what it is you're moving towards. Um, and then the last one I have here for why we don't set goals is sometimes we set big goals or even little goals, whatever size, we set them and we haven't reached them, and then there starts to become this self-doubt around whether or not we can actually achieve the things that we want to um, achieve or experience in the world. So there's like a learned helplessness of like we've set out to accomplish certain things, maybe it didn't go the way we wanted to, we take it as a loss, and we start to develop this pattern of not going after the things we want. That's one. And then the other thing is maybe we have reached the goals that we've set, and now we're feeling kind of like, well, I reached my goals. And if we don't take the time to sit down and make some new ones or look at where we want to head, maybe we've grown a lot in that process, and the things that inspired us then don't inspire us now. So if we don't take the time to sit down and actually look into, what's next for us, that can kind of create some friction as well. All right, so in a moment, we're going to get into how to actually set goals. So I'm going to be taking you through a process or outlining a process that I use with most of my clients that I use in this, the group coaching containers I offer. It's something I've used for over a decade to just get clear on, what am I focusing on right now? And like I said, sometimes I'll go back to it and scrap the whole thing and start over and say, you know what, those things aren't important to me anymore. These things are. So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to be taking you through how we do that. But before I do that, um, I guess I have here some things that I'm going to plug to you. First is to like, subscribe, and share this channel so I can actually grow the thing and people can find out about this work and get resources like this to help them grow. And secondly, I have a Patreon group, which we're actually meeting tonight. It's a once monthly thing, and I'm going to be guiding them through this 10-year plan process of like, okay, now you guys are going to write about this. Okay, cool. Now let's explore this. Okay, cool. What came up for you? What are some challenges you have around, these goals? What's some resistance you've bumped into before? So I'll actually be guiding everyone through that practice tonight. Um, my Patreon page is Jackson Hardin. So patreon.com/Jackson Hardin. If you want to join that, and that call meets monthly, and there's like an accountability experience for people as well. We'll set the goals. We'll have a partner. They'll help you stay on track until the next call. So again, patreon.com/Jackson Hardin to learn more about that. And then other than that, I do private coaching around this kind of thing to be very specific about what you want to do, what you want to create, what gets in the way for you. And you can learn more about that on my website. I have a package. It's 3 sessions where you can. It's a really great way to get clear on everything and then create a plan and some routines to actually get that going. And it's a great way for us to see if we're a good fit or if working together makes sense. So again, that's on my website, jacksonhardin.com. So let's get into the how of goal setting. I'm all blurry. I have this self-adjusting camera that's like, I hate it sometimes. All right. So the how of goal setting. All right, so the first thing that you want to do if you're going to be setting any goals, in this process I'm going to take you through is more of it's a 10-year plan. It's not just like a one goal thing. I find it very useful to like look at everything from a big picture and look at like, well, where do I want to be 10 years down the line? And then, so what do I need to do today in order to move there? And I also like that perspective because it encompasses all the different areas of life, your relationships, your health and well-being, your sense for adventure, your business, your financial goals. It's a broad process, and in the process we narrow it down to some very simple goals for the year, and then create a plan to actually take action regularly on those goals. So the very first thing you want to do if you're setting goals is you want to really raise your perspective or your emotional state. We don't want to create things from like a place of woe is me. If you had a bad day and you want to make some changes, or um, you're feeling kind of down, it's not a great time to set goals unless you change that experience you're having first. Because if we don't do this, then we're setting like small goals from this place of maybe I can do something. So if you do set goals, make sure that you change your experience first. You could go for a walk, have a workout, have a talk with a friend. A simple question you can ask is like, what have I already accomplished in my life? Make a nice list of those things. And if you do that and you pay attention, by the end of that, you'll feel different. And from that place of feeling different, of feeling like, wow, I have done things in the past that I'm proud of, then you create the future that you want to create, as opposed to having a really crappy day at work and then coming home and being like, oh well, I want things different, but I'm not really, I hate my life, and then trying to create goals from there, which can actually kind of be helpful. I know I'm contradicting myself, but it can be really helpful to come home from work and be like, I've had it, I need to make some adjustments. Anyway, you don't want to create goals from like a low energy place, because you're only going to be able to see and do so much, or believe so much as possible for you. So number two, when you're setting goals, allow yourself to really dream big, to think big, to think like, if I could do anything, what would I want to do? A lot of times when people sit down to like plan out the future, they do it from a place of um, like, well, I want to, I'll just give an example. Like, I want to start a business. Oh, but I don't know how, and they defeat themselves before they even get started. I want to lose weight, or I want to gain weight. Oh, but I don't have any money for the gym. And they don't even allow themselves to have the thought, or to even dream up something different than what they already have. So when you do sit down to set your goals, you need to allow yourself, let go of that critical aspect of yourself. Let go of that in the process of creating this vision for yourself. Let anything happen. We can deal with whether or not that's possible later, but in the brainstorming process of what you want to create, let go of any of that criticism. Just jot down anything that you want to achieve, all that you want to achieve. If everything worked out your way, what would that look like? And just create a list, a nice long list of all the things you want to experience in your relationships, in your health and well-being, and in your work life, finance, purpose. I like to break them down into those categories because it encompasses a lot. But again, just write everything from a place of, what if you could do anything? And once you have this nice long list, you need to organize it, right? So we don't want to create like overwhelm by having 50 different things that we're trying to do all at once. So creating this vision of, this is what I want to do with my life in the next 10 years. These are all the things I want to accomplish. You go through your list and you organize it in the way that I like to do it. The way that I was taught is you organize them in categories of 1, 3, 5, or 10-year goals. Like, what on this list of things do I think I could accomplish this year? What would take like 3 years? What would take 5 years? What's more of like a 10-year goal, right? And to actually go down your list and jot down, whatever number comes to mind, and that'll help you organize all your goals into 1-year goals, 3-year goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals. And you can start diving in on those 1-year goals, and you can have the 10-year goals kind of in your awareness still, but maybe not necessarily the thing you're putting all your attention on. So you want to organize your goals. Next is you want to prioritize your 1-year goals. So once you go through this process, you're going to have, hopefully you'll have 50 things that you want to accomplish. We're talking about creating a vision of your life. Hopefully there's not 6 things on the vision of your life, right? That's like kind of limited. You might want to look at, like, if there's only 6 things you want to accomplish or achieve or experience in your lifetime, like, maybe dig a little deeper. So ideally, you have this nice long list. You then prioritize them into 1, 3, 5, 10-year goals. And then you want to identify of those 1 year goals, which ones are the most important. And once you've identified which ones are most important, I'd say pick three, right? Three is a great number. If you pick, 5, 6, 7, now our energy is being dispersed in several different areas that can be hard to maintain. If we pick just one thing, now we're kind of hyper focused on one area of our life, and that can kind of be harmful to the other areas. So ideally, pick three things. Hopefully, they're in different categories. Have a relationship goal for the year, have a business goal for the year, have a health goal for the year. If you just have one of each, like a big goal, um, you'll be growing in those different areas. So once you've picked those top goals, something that's important to do is to understand why those goals are important to you. So if the goal is the destination, we can look at the reasons why that's important to us as the fuel. In order to get to the destination, we're going to need, the fuel. So looking at if you have a goal to, start a business, like why do you want to start a business? Is it so you have more freedom of your time and energy? Is it so you can spend more time with your family and friends and create your own schedule? Is it because you have gifts that you want to give to the world? Like, why do you want to create your own business? If you can't come up with like 5 reasons why you want to create a business or achieve whatever goal you have, maybe that goal is not really that important. If you want to lose weight, why do you want to lose weight? If you want to gain weight or learn to fight or something, why do you want to do this? You need to get clear on why you want to do this. Write down why you want to do this. So you have your outcome, you have your reasons why, and then now is the time to start creating how you're going to get there. If the why is strong enough, you can figure out how, right? So get clear on the why first, and then start creating what are some action steps I could take to actually make this goal a reality. And what I like to do with this how list is it's just options. I don't have to do all of them, but I might come up with 5, 6, 7 different ways to approach accomplishing a certain thing. And then I can, choose which one I want to take action on. But I have all these different routes. I'm not bottlenecked into just one way of doing it. There's several ways to do it. So again, get clear on those 1 year goals, understand why those are important, and then map out, like again, brainstorm, jot down different things that you could do that would move you closer to the destination. Once you have that done, you want to schedule some sort of action. You want to schedule like your next step. I've got the vision. I've got the things that I could do. Now I need to actually block out time in my day to sit down and work on that. And the way that I really recommend doing this is instead of scheduling like one time that you're going to work on this goal that's apparently super important to you, um, create like a time block that's reoccurring where you're working on your goals, whatever those may be. So I'll give this example. Let's say the health and wellness goal is, to get in shape, whatever that means. So you're going to get in shape. So now you go on your calendar and you schedule 3 workouts a week, recurring. That's so much better than just focusing on the goal of getting in shape and then hitting it and then being done with it, because now you've created a recurring structure in your life that's going to move you towards more health and wellness. And hopefully, even after you've accomplished getting in shape, which by the way is a very vague goal, is probably not the best way to say it. But once you've accomplished that, you have structures in your life that will continue to support you at being healthy. So that would be if I had a goal of getting in shape. Let's say I have a goal of getting married and I don't have a girlfriend, right? So maybe what I do is schedule Friday, Friday, Saturday nights. Maybe those are nights and I'm kind of leaving open to either go out and meet people or have dates or start connecting with people. But again, set it as something that's recurring instead of just a one-off thing, to where like you can continue to show up to it over time as you create the thing that you want. Maybe, cool, now I've found someone that I like spending time with. Maintain the date nights, keep those going, keep time together going. So again, the idea here is instead of creating one-off times where you work on something, the real like money move is to create consistent routines and structures in your calendar and in your life that have you show up to the things that are most important to you on a regular basis. And that's how you really start transforming your life into something different, as opposed to just, having that New Year's resolution obsession of losing weight, doing it for a month or two, and then falling off. No, now you've actually created structures in your life that support it for a longer period of time. So that's it. That's how you set them. You raise your perspective before you sit down to set your goals. You allow yourself to really dream about what it is you want to create. Don't confine yourself before you even get started in that process. Organize your goals in 1, 3, and 5 and 10-year categories, so you're clear on what you can focus on now. Prioritize what are the top 3 goals or things you want to focus on. Understand why you want to do that. Create a map of how to get there, and schedule consistent time to be focusing on your goals. Now, before I close the video, I do want to talk about some common pitfalls. And by the way, if you have specific questions about anything I'm saying, or goal setting in general, or you're working on something and you're bumping up against a challenge, I think the chat is functioning. If it is, you can put a message in the chat and I will answer it. Let me see. Live chat. There it is. Figured it out. So if you have any specific questions, put them in the chat thing and I'll answer them here in a minute. Let's see. So common pitfalls. Before I go into common pitfalls, I see something over here. How do you feel about mind mapping? I think mind mapping can be a really helpful tool, a useful tool in just kind of creating different figuring out different ways to brainstorm the things that you might want to create. I assume that's what you're asking, like mind mapping. That could be really helpful, actually. Now that I think about it, you could create these different categories. I could do like my health goals, or like this part of my life that's health and wellness, and then I could just put all the things in that category, and then it would be organized like these are my health goals, right? Yeah, exactly. And then for the outcomes. Yeah, I'll touch that in a second too. So you have health and wellness, and then you have all the actions and behaviors and goals associated with it. You have relationships, you have all the actions, behaviors, goals associated with it, and then you have business, purpose, work, all the actions and goals associated with it, and it just helps organize everything. Now, when it comes to the specific goal, so say my goal again is I want to lose 20 pounds. That's a much better way to talk about the health goal that I shared earlier. I want to lose 20 pounds by this amount of time. Then, I can again use that mind map thing to break down, like, here's all the things I could do that could help me get this outcome. And once you create all those could do's, it's also nice to go through and prioritize those could do's. Like I could have 10 different things I could do to lose 20 pounds, but 3 of them might not be as effective as, some of the other ones. So if I can identify, like, what are the real ones that are going to help me lose this weight? Like one's probably exercising, for X amount of time. And like, that's where I really focus my attention. That's how I can really leverage my time as I work towards these goals. I don't have to do all the action steps, but what are the most important ones? So that's how I would use those, that mind map aspect. A quick detour that just came to mind. When you are writing out your goals, they need to be clear. Okay. I want to lose weight is not clear. What's that mean? You want to lose a pound, an ounce? When do you want to do that by? Like next year, in 10 years, right? So we want to bring clarity to the way that we're writing the goal, because that's going to have a real impact, like subconsciously, on how we show up to the goal. And it's going to let us know whether or not we've even accomplished it. So you want to make sure it's something that you can measure, and you want to make sure it's something that has some sort of time constraint. The time constraint helps us show up a certain way. If I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 3 months, I'm probably going to show up a little bit differently than if I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 3 years, right? So this time constraint can be a really powerful tool. And here's a question, like, well, how do you lose 20 pounds in the next 1 month? That might not be the healthiest thing in the world to do, but Again, if you ask yourself that question, you're going to come up with different action steps than if you ask yourself, how do I lose it in 3 years? So again, you want to write out your goal in a way that's clear, in a way that there's a deadline of sorts. So again, I want to lose weight, not very clear, no deadline. I want to lose 20 pounds, that's a very specific amount, by, in the next 3 months, or so let's say by June 31st. Very clear, right? Very clear on what I want to do and by when it's going to get done. And then when June 31st arrives, I can sit down and go, well, did I accomplish this or not? And if not, why not? What can I adjust? I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but those structures and routines I was talking about to constantly show up to your goals. It's also important to have times to regularly review how your goal is going. I like to do this with weekly reviews. You could do it monthly. This is what the Patreon group is. It's a way for you to connect every month and check in. What are you working on? How's it going? What do you need to adjust? But regularly looking at our goals. This is why New Year's resolutions always fall off, because you set it at the beginning of the year and then you completely forget about it. And then you don't look at it again until the year's gone by and you go, oh, I was going to stop smoking, or I was going to lose weight. But you haven't looked at it for a year, and it's no wonder that it didn't get done. You wrote it down once. Okay, so I'm going to go to common pitfalls. I was supposed to do this a minute ago, got caught up. Common pitfalls when it comes to goal setting. Number one is around specificity. We just talked about that. If you're not specific enough, it can be really hard to know whether or not you've actually accomplished the thing you set out to do, or it can create this I'll do it tomorrow kind of mentality if there's not like a time frame around it. So specificity can really get in the way of achieving your goals. On the other end, being too specific and being too like, this is the thing that needs to happen, and being kind of obsessive on your goal, not allowing for things to shift or to flow if like that's the way things go, right? Like maybe you want to have a job at this place, and like in the process of getting the job at that place, a much better opportunity opens up, but you're too blind because you're focusing on what you want. That can be not good. So don't be so zeroed in on exactly what you want that you lose out on other things that might even be better than what you could have dreamt up initially. So specificity, the size. We can definitely set goals that are way too, I don't want to say they're too big, but they're too big in the sense that it's a big goal and then we're kind of beating ourselves up that we haven't accomplished it yet, right? So we have this big vision of creating a project in the world, and it takes time to create it, and because it hasn't come to fruition, we're like beating ourselves up around like, oh, I can't do this, or the world's not letting me do this. I've definitely had this experience where sometimes they take time. So if you set big goals, know that it's not going to happen overnight. The other thing is you could set goals that are too small and they don't inspire you. So this happens a lot, as people will, not be motivated. I can't really get up in the morning. I'm not really excited about X, Y, and Z. Well, it's like, well, so maybe the things that you set out to do aren't that inspiring to you. And it might be time to sit down and create a bigger vision that does pull you out of bed, to where you don't have to, get yourself amped up to show up to the day, but to where the things you're working to are so fun and fulfilling for you that you can't wait to get up and experience the day. It's totally possible to create that kind of a vision for yourself. All right, number 3, common pitfalls, reflection. We talked about this a moment ago, not taking time to return to your goals and review them to make sure you're on track. So pitfalls of goal setting, you've got to take some time to sit down and say, how's this going? Do I need to make some adjustments? What's working here? What's not working here? What are my next moves? You should do that regularly with your goals. Remember, these are your most important things we've identified in 10 years. here's the things I want to do. And to get started this year, these are the 3 things I want to focus on. These should be kind of held as important things in your life. So, sitting down to reflect on them and make sure that things are going the way that you want, or if they're not, make some adjustments. That shouldn't be like oh, I have to sit down and do it. It should be like, cool, I want to look at what's going on here so I can get this thing rolling again. Um, Completing goals. Oh, so on the reflection aspect, once you've completed goals, it's good to sit down and create new ones, right? So we have this. I was earlier in life, I was competing in like kickboxing and martial arts, and I had this goal just to have my first fight, right? So I was in Thailand, I was training, and I was like, well, I'm here training, I should just fight here. So I did, and it was very anticlimactic. I remember I was like, uh, it was just a huge build up, and then I had the fight, and then it was like, okay, well now what? And it felt like the floor kind of fell out, like it felt dropped in a way because it was like my whole life was focused on this thing. I did it, and then it was like, all right. So it's important to have goals ready, or like have more goals or have a new vision available to keep you moving forward as you wrap up the big visions that you've already had. Um, so that's reflection. All right, so blinders. I talked about this a second ago, but blinders. We want to have goals in different areas. We don't want to just be zeroed in on one thing and neglect other important areas of our life. Again, I've done this where I had goals of starting a business and was so focused on that my relationship at the time was really damaged because I wasn't making the time for us to spend time together and to connect. So you want to be aware of, as you're working towards these goals, there's other aspects of your life that need your attention. And, things like time with friends, family, loved ones, people that care about us is just as important as the things you want to accomplish. So making time for those things is very important. The other aspect of blinders is, selling your soul for success. We might have a goal that we're really excited about that we want to make happen, but we don't want to compromise our morals or values in order to make that thing happen. I think the easiest one would be like maybe you have a financial goal and you do some things, you sell, you take advantage of somebody or you sell something that you don't believe in order to make that financial gain, right? Like, okay, cool. Now you've got the thing you were working towards, but how does that did it actually give you what you want? Because now you've compromised your values. So you got to be aware of what are you willing to give? What are you willing to give? It's an important question to look at because sometimes we might find that the price is too high to pay for the things that we want. So something to think about. And then I think one of the most important things when it comes to goals, when it comes to any of this lifestyle design, creating your future thing, one of the most important things to watch out for is the delusion that your life will fundamentally be different or better because you've completed a goal. That the goal itself is going to actually like change your life forever. I mean, it could in some ways, but the moment you guys, everyone's probably experienced this before, you accomplish a goal and then it's like, cool, now what? So then there's a new goal. So you accomplish that goal and you're like, okay, now what? And there's a new goal and you accomplish that goal. It's a never ending thing. And a lot of times we chase these visions and dreams we have thinking if just this one thing happens, if these things fall into place, then I'll be satisfied. Then life is just peachy. Then it's just, I'm good. But that doesn't really come. There's always going to be something new, something new, something new. So if we can't be aware of that and hold that, look, life is great as it's going to be right here, right now. And I want to keep working towards things and growing. If we can't hold both of those, we're gonna be miserable. So don't fall into the trap of thinking that earning this amount of money or having this kind of person in your life or reaching this kind of health or fitness goal is going to just life is That's it. You don't have to do anything else anymore. That probably won't happen. All right, so that's the end of this call. What did we talk about? Unless you guys have any questions you want to put in the chat, I'm happy to answer them, around this topic of goal setting and creating plans. If anything was unclear that I said, or you have a specific goal that you want a little bit of support around, happy to do that. Again, we talked about why goal setting is important, why we don't do it. Talked a little bit about how to set goals, create a 10-year plan, and the common pitfalls that may be there. Before I end this call, if you guys don't have questions, again, like this, if it was helpful, subscribe to the channel so I can start growing this thing. I've got a monthly accountability container. We're meeting tonight at 7:30. I don't remember now. 7 or 7:30 p.m. Pacific. I think it's 7. You can find out about that through Patreon, patreon.com/Jackson Hardin. We'll be going through this goal setting process. At the end of the call, you will have a 10-year plan. You will have 1-year goals that you're clear on, that the next action steps to take, and you'll have an accountability partner that you can check in with to make sure you're staying on track. And then I also do private sessions where we can get clear on what it is you want to create, and I can answer specific questions and challenges that you're having on them. Nice, yeah. Cultivating meaningful and authentic relationships. It's a great goal to have, and it's something that you can improve on, right? Like you can become better at deepening relationships and all of these different areas of life we can grow in, we can become better in if we put some time and attention on them. You're not stuck where you're at. You just need to find new ideas or new ways to approach it. So yeah, that's great. Cultivating meaningful and authentic relationships. I don't know if there could be a better goal, when it comes to relationships. Cultivate, maintain, deepen the ones that we have. Be present for those that are important to us. All right, so if there's no questions, that's the end of the call. I appreciate you guys checking this out. And next week, I'm going to be doing another live call around, I'm trying to remember what it is about, around energy, maintaining energy. All right, talk to you guys later. Thanks for swinging by and checking this out.